TheCatBotAI, the podcast that's going to be all about AI, technology, machine learning, and some other cool stuff that comes out of Silicon Valley. My name's Catherine Brinkman, and I will be one of your co-hosts. Ken will be my co-pilot here. Not really, more of the brains of the operation. Ken, who are you? Where are you?
And you use the word co-pilot. Very on brand with AI, right? Anyway, my name is Ken. I will be your co-pilot here with CatBotAI. We're going to discuss many different things. We're going to have a real casual tone, too, about it and try to make it accessible and interesting to watch, because that's really important with a lot of podcasts I've found. Some of them have great info. Not so fun to watch. So we want to make this fun for both us and for you. So we're looking forward to our the different topics we'll be covering, which we'll get into a little bit later here in the episode.
So how are we going to make it fun? Here's the deal. I'm originally from Silicon Valley. I was born and raised, and I had my first computer back in 1984. Yes, that dates me, that whatever. Bottom line is, I lived next door to a teacher, and so during the summers, we would get her computer, my brother and I, and it was like Oregon's Trail, maybe Speak and Teach is typing. So it was that illustrious Apple IIe that I thought everybody had in their home. I sent my first email, it was 1990, I believe. 91? Anyway.
With the dial-up, of course.
Oh, God, yeah. Ridiculous. Dot metrics printers. We had a Commodore computer. When the Commodore died, my dad let me take it apart in the garage so I could see what was in it. Now, I am not an engineer. That's why I say that Ken is more of the brains of the operation. I'm the one that's like, how can I use AI to work smarter, faster, so I can go get to the beach and not have to sit in front of my computer working all day? How can I use this stuff to make my life easier? How did I even get into AI? Ken, you know the story, right? Right?
I do know the story how you got into AI. At least I think I do.
How did you get into tech? Let's back it up. Back it up a second. So you know my nerd story coming out of the valley. You're just inundated. It wasn't an option. You are coming from Florida. So how did you get into this?
So how I got into just technology in general in the beginning was I was a kid. I don't remember exactly how old I was. I had to be at least 12 or something like that. And sure, we had video game consoles, your Sega Genesis, your Nintendo, all that fun stuff. And my aunt actually was the one who said, hey, you really need to learn to use a computer. So she got me one for, I believe it was Christmas. Got it for Christmas. It was a 75 megahertz Hewlett-Packard. It was, one of those where you put the monitor on the top of it and everything. And yes, for everyone who was born after a certain year, there used to be big CRT monitors, we called them, and they were gigantic. But I took that computer, and from that, just learning how to use a computer, I built one of my own eventually. And this was back, got a graphics card, I got into gaming. So this is back when the graphics cards would stick outside of the side of the case. I didn't really know what I was doing at the time.
I remember that.
Yep.
Because you'll learn later. Graphics cards and I have an issue. I remember that. Sorry to interrupt. Wow.
Oh, no. That's the whole point. You can interrupt whenever you want. But so I had the computer, I had the case. I thought I had everything good. Then I went to upgrade the graphics card, and this was back in the days of the 3DFX Voodoo 5. The case side had to come off. That was the only way I could get it to work. And going back to the original computer, my way to fix technology before I learned how it worked was to hit it, like you would see in the movies or TV. Oh, yeah, I'll just hit it. That fan sounds weird. And then one day I hit it and it didn't turn back on. So from that point, I wanted to know why and how things actually evolved into that. And that's turned into a career in also professional development, but mainly my interest is anything to do with computers, artificial intelligence, especially.
I think that's the irony is at this time, we do not work in tech. We just don't. We're enthusiasts.
Everyone works in tech a little.
I mean, it's fair point. Do our paychecks come from tech companies? No, they do not.
Correct.
No, they do not. So part of how I got into the AI space is selling software. And I work for a company, this call is being recorded, and we sold AI, machine learning, and RPA into contact centers And when you're working those kinds of accounts, you have to sell the new shiny object because you're dealing with 3 to 5 year contracts. And the shiny object happened to be a chatbot. This is a few years ago. This isn't ChatGPT. This is way before. And ultimately, it coincided with me getting diagnosed with ADHD and going to a trade event where I was just starting my Ritalin. And what happened was I cannot take Ritalin because I didn't sleep. So everything that I picked up from a conference on AI, I read at night. And then I was playing with the software. I was just at the demo booth hanging out with the people that actually were demoing. And I was playing with the software. And they're like, do you want us to show you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So they showed me the demo. They actually ran through it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I asked some questions. Collected more information. That night went home, couldn't sleep, read a bunch more on AI, RPA, and machine learning. Came back the next day, asked the gentleman more questions, the sales guys more questions about everything. And they're like, do you want us to teach you how to do this? And I was like, what? They're like, you kind of know a lot now. Do you want us to just show you how to demo this high level? So as an AE, it's not normal for you to run POCs. I would go in, and over time I learned how to run the POC myself with this, super 7-9 steps, what have you, explaining to people, hey, we're not taking your jobs. This is really supposed to help you. But that's how I got into it. Was I was just like totally, basically kind of strung out on Ritalin, couldn't sleep, and I just kept reading all the pamphlets. They even had QR codes back then. I would look at the QR code on my phone, read about what was the technology for that day, go back to the booth, ask people questions, and it kind of stuck. So how did you get into AI?
Well, how I got into AI originally was, once ChatGPT was released, everyone was talking about it. It was the latest thing.
Oh my God.
And
yeah.
Oh, I know. And as we'll talk more, as AI is an umbrella term, as you were mentioning before too, with robotic process automation and everything. So, how I got into generative AI, like your ChatGPT, your large language learning models, was I heard about it, checked it out online, and of course the first question I had to ask it, and anyone who's seen the movie War Games will probably get this reference, but I asked it, I'd like to play a game. It said, okay, what game would you like to play?
That's a lot about you, doesn't it? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes, because everyone was scared of it back then too. Everyone was scared of it. And then I asked it to play Global Thermonuclear War with me, and it wouldn't do it. So that's my first usage of ChatGPT ever. So that's how I kind of got into it. And from there, I've learned to use it for more constructive matters. And I use it every day. In fact, I just used it 20 minutes ago to compile a list from a website for price comparison and all that.
Well, I mean, you are correct. We may not work, quote unquote. We may not get paid from a tech company. We all use technology, though. You would, be lying if you did. And I think what really brought us together is the fact that we could sit and just talk about, BS on Dolly and make different graphics and just play with it by prompting. And it really comes down to prompting. And this was like a year and a half ago now. And now you can get a degree in prompting? Like, it's just changed so much.
I'm not surprised. Prompting is more complex than a lot of people are led 100%. To believe. And the different models have different ways they like to interact, or interact with you or respond to you. And we'll get into that too, about what everyone calls a hallucination. I refer to it as the AI will lie to you. It doesn't mean to, but it will because it thinks you want this, or it's inferring that you want this.
It has anxiety, you might fire it like Gen Z.
Yeah, it might have a little anxiety.
Damn.
I've never had it apologize to me though. Oh, wait, no. Yes, it has. But
no.
It seemed facetious.
Mine was, you need to check your work. I got very, very mad at it last week. Yeah. So it was hurtful. It lied to me. But we're gonna...
there you go. Anthropomorphizing the AI. I didn't mean... Go ahead.
We're going to go beyond generative AI, though, because there's so much more that is involved. Just not being able to please tell me more about this subject. Write a paper on it. We're going to really talk about how can we use the variations of AI, get into the definitions of each kind of AI, get into the definitions around machine learning. We're going to talk about some quantum physics stuff. This is the part where Ken comes in, where I'm like, oh, this is cool. Let's learn about it. I have a degree in history and urban planning, so whoopsie doopsie. But here's what we are going to really focus on when we do talk about the variations of AI, is it's really like, how can we use it? In what industries are we going to see AI? And then what, like, let's take healthcare, for example. There's a debate right now on if healthcare is going to completely pivot and you're really not going to have doctors and you're going to upload your DNA and you're going to have an algorithm tell you what you need to do, versus, wait a minute, I need to actually talk to a human that can look at me, because there are variants that maybe the algorithm will not see. So we're going to touch on the key industries for sure: healthcare, construction, finance, manufacturing, banking, retail. And then we're also going to look at, because we'd be lying, right, Ken? People are afraid they're afraid of AI, right? I mean, they're afraid of it.
That is true. That is true.
So it goes a little bit beyond the generative AI with that. AI is a tool that can be used in every industry. So what are some areas of AI that we might talk about that not everyone is gonna really be like, oh, that's awesome?
Some different areas we may get into are, some people might not use every single day. A lot of us have used DALL-E on
super diplomatic
ChatGPT, or I thank you. You know, I try to be diplomatic where I can. You have your Grok with Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it these days. You have Runway is fantastic if you ever want to do any like video type stuff. Runway's it's really impressive what it can do, actually. So we'll talk about those different aspects of it, and just in everyday life applications. As we discussed, there's different. It's an umbrella term, AI, artificial intelligence. So the different areas beneath that is what we'll cover. Basically, even how your car can use it, how a Tesla uses it for self-driving and all that.
And I think something to touch on that, again, when we start talking about the history in one of our episodes about AI, is it's not new. It's not new at all. If you think about like the auto plants back in the day, that was automation. It was automation.
Yeah, I mean, back to the Industrial Revolution, steam power, all that. Automation. That was automation. This is just another iteration of the automation.
Nice. We should tagline it. So again, it's not something to be afraid of. We are going to talk about how different industries are using it to protect us. So we are going to talk about some cybersecurity, some heavy topics: cybersecurity, cyber warfare. How are you using it for energy, and really overall predictive behavioral routing? What does that mean? Predictive behavioral modeling as well. So you use the modeling to then route. Is that a privacy issue? Is that ethical? I'm in sales Monday. So
are we in Minority Report, in other words?
Pretty much, right? And at what point are you like, whoa, that's overstepping? So we're also going to have some subject matter experts that are industry leaders. We'll have somebody from marketing, someone from cybersecurity, someone from energy. We're going to look at some people from healthcare that'll come on. We'll have some political figures that have, again, we're nonpartisan here, so it's going to be both sides. And it's not just going to be Ken and I kind of like shooting the bull. It's going to be some real learning opportunities.
Very diplomatic.
Thank you. So once in a while it happens. Once in a while. Episode 1, we don't want to flag immediately.
That's true.
We are going to talk about the heavy stuff, though, because there has been situations where, one, the algorithm for healthcare is wrong, and you walk around thinking you have cancer and you're totally fine. Or, conversely, you have cancer, and the algorithm said you're fine. There was a child, and Ken, you know more about this. There was a young person that actually committed suicide by talking to the chatbot. I mean, go a little deeper, because I don't recall what the platform was.
I'm not sure of the platform, but there is a platform that basically they make a you can customize it to be a AI person. It is a whole platform of it, and this person, I guess, was using it was like a relationship, and it started feeding, or he said he had suicidal thoughts or something like that, and it encouraged him, and he listened, but. AI can get a little more personal. I get that. Yeah. That kind of thing was also said about the gaming industry too back in the day, with all the voice chats and all that, and the cyberbullying and all. So it's nothing new.
I'm gonna make a note. We're gonna dig deeper on that, because that is I was thinking, this would go off on a quick tangent just for a second, because again, it goes, I was connecting with someone from college that I want to be on the podcast. So I was talking to them yesterday and it made me click. Like, we were talking about, thank God we didn't have social media because we would have been canceled. Like, the nonsense I pulled in college, where if I'd had a chatbot just for like shits and giggles to sit and like mess with it, no, the stuff you could do.
Oh yeah.
So that's interesting.
I mean,
I read an article this morning about how women are going to just literally date their own robot. They're going to get a robot, they're going to date the robot, they're going to marry the robot, blah, blah, blah. Not literally marry. But it's going to be where women prefer a robot over a human man. So the heavy stuff.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways there, but either
True.
That will happen and probably already is.
Yeah. So again, we are going
likely.
to talk about some of that complex stuff, though. So it's not always going to be rainbows and unicorns. We're going to talk about the ethics. We're going to talk about privacy. I know you and I trade crypto. What we were talking about earlier is I was sitting thinking, like, dude, if Coinbase, like, cyber attacks from 2021 to now are not the same cyber attacks.
No, in fact, everyone, AI and hacking comes into it, or cybersecurity in general. I mean, there's specifically trained models like White Rabbit Neo that'll write exploit code for you and all that type of stuff. So that kind of some of you could still do it back then, but that kind of automation in exploitation is something that is newer, especially as the GPUs and everything have gotten more, as I motion to my computer that's off screen, have gotten more powerful over the past few years. So it's able to perform these type of operations very rapidly.
And the thing that I always envisioned, just because when I was selling software, especially the RPA, is you're constantly thinking, how am I going to protect the data? How am I going to be private, protect the privacy? And I mean private, like literally what's data governance look like? And I was thinking, like, when I first started with this, I would just envision, this was 2017, I would envision like a room of people hacking, sitting up at a computer. And now I look at a room of computers with one or two people writing the code to hack and then repeat and repeat and repeat 24 hours a day, where the computers are not sleeping. So again, we're going to talk about some heavy topics. We're going to always have fun with some of these topics because I think both of us are snarky at some level.
You just promise fun to everybody. Better deliver.
I think I bring the fun. I bring the fun.
Unsubscribe if it's not fun. There you go.
Dude, it's episode 1.
Well, still.
We need people to subscribe to unsubscribe. That's so hurtful.
Well, then do that. And then leave a comment. Say, Catherine, you promised this to be fun.
This wasn't fun. So again, we're going to keep it light. We're going to have subject matter experts. We're going to go high level. I'm more the high level. Ken's going to go deep on some stuff. You might be asking, like, what is up with this CatBot name? Well, I came back. I took the hiatus from where I currently work now. I'm in self-development, public speaking. And when I came back, I would always mention, like, oh, we could automate this process. We could automate this process. We could automate this process. And one of my colleagues was like, oh, God, here she comes again. And he just started calling me CatBot. And I was like, dude. And it became a nickname. Certain people within the organization literally do not call me Catherine. They call me CatBot. And then, this idea between Ken and I was born, and now it's the TheCatBotAI Podcast. There's a website. There's going to be commentary on different books, articles, what's happening. And we're really going to...
And your catchphrase, right? The catchphrase.
Meow,
meow. There you go.
But also, we want input from the audience, for people that see this. What do you want to know more about? Because, again, history nerd, I'll go do the research, figure it out. Ken will dig deeper on what's the tech part of it and what would make engineers want to, tune in. And then we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
Random topics.
And we'll go deep on these topics, but we're going to also keep it accessible. So it's not, I'm not going to speak in code, and any acronyms I use, I'll try to explain and all that as well. So I don't want it to be a dry, boring thing that you watch. It's something interesting is the whole goal here.
And we are going to be a little controversial. A little controversial from time to time, just a little. Some of the
I think we can do that.
We're going to talk about Optimus, where you and I sort of have different viewpoints on it. I'm a we'll leave that. Tune in, teaser. We talk about generative AI and Hollywood. We talk about AI in movies and how it's changed over the years, and should we be afraid, should we not be afraid? And then we're also going to talk about things where I don't even know, like, what was the one we talked about? Spectrum dominance?
Yes. So that would be in for use military application of it.
Yeah.
So it essentially, I won't get into it too deep.
No.
It's jamming or protecting certain frequencies, so drone operators and everything can, are changing the frequencies rapidly, so they can maintain their connection and it's secure.
So again, we'll go with trends. We'll go with what people are joking about in social media, and then we're also going to have some heavy topics around some stuff that's reality and we need to address. We can't hide with our head in the sand anymore. So one of the things that we do often, and we'll actually post what we come up with in the comments, but we use DALL-E a lot and try to prompt it and make really ridiculous pictures. So
oh yes,
Ken, I'm gonna have some fun with you. Go ahead and we'll record some of this individually, and then we can put them up. But try to make the most ridiculous cat robots in Silicon Valley. And I'm going to try to make the most ridiculous cat bot. Oh, go ahead. What would you like me to do? I'm sorry, I defer.
No. I like the idea. My question is, are we restricted to a certain image generator or large language learning model?
No.
So
No.
GPT, Grok,
Dealer's choice. I said DALL-E, dealer's choice. Who cares? I'm going to go with
Midjourney.
I'm going to go with
And
Midjourney.
I figured you would. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Mine's going to be a video. Just kidding.
See, again, this is why you're on here. You're way above me on some of these technology advancements.
No,
I'm
just saying,
dude.
It gives me a good reason to pay for a runway and play with it a little more.
So at the end of the day, it's going to be fun. We want input. We're going to have guests. If you are someone that's passionate about AI and you'd like to be a guest, let us know. We'd love to have you. And on that note, thank you for joining us for our inaugural episode of the CatBotAI Meow Meow.
Meow meow.